welcome to a special edition of Hard Copy. I am Terry Kumi. The next voice you hear won't be mine.
Indeed, it won't be yours, Terry. It will be mine, and it's great to be back. Thank you so much for holding fort while I was away. And as a result, our viewers will be seeing some more of you in the coming weeks and months as Hard Copy puts two good heads together to serve you those conversations as hot and as frank as you'd like to have them. I'm Maupe Ogun Yusuf. Now, over $118 billion and 200,000 livelihoods lost globally. The aviation sector faced perhaps its darkest days in 2020. Nonetheless, with many restrictions lifted and lifelines offered, a few are braving the waters and holding out a torch. Will their light stand the test? What do government and citizens need to do to set the sector aflame again? I speak tonight with the Chairman, Chief Executive Officer of Airpeace Limited, Mr. Alan Oyema. Mr. Oyema, welcome to Hard Copy.
Thank you very much.
Well, the figures that I cited were international figures. Locally, the Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, said the sector was losing about 20 billion naira monthly. Did he mean the entire airline, or was he talking about every stakeholder in the sector?
I'm sure he was talking about maybe the airline sector of the aviation industry. You can remember, it's not only the airlines that you have there. You have those who do catering services. You have the ground handling companies, and you have travel agents, and all of them. A whole lot of people. You have the MROs too.
So, for you personally, I mean, the pandemic must definitely have hit differently. When you heard that the airports were going to be shutting down and you were only going to be operating skeletal services, how did that affect your blood pressure?
My blood pressure has always been low. Has always been low because it depends on why I'm in the business in the first place. Mm-hmm. When that came, my bother was about the workforce. I didn't care about myself or my family or anything like that. I only bothered about the workforce. What would become of them if they stopped working? So that was the only worry I had. But at the same time, I knew, going back to history, that the epidemic would be, or pandemic would be a thing of the past someday.
Well, someday, it's not yet a thing of the past. If there's anything, we've headed into a second wave. You run an international business. You're flying into other countries. Some countries have gone into a second lockdown. Nigeria is still mulling that particular option. Yet, we'll get to that shortly. You're still, trying to hold forth, it would seem. What's giving you the impression that the sector will be out of the doldrums anytime soon?
It's going to be a long while before the sector comes out of it. That is the truth. You could see that all over the world, aviation is the worst hit. Many airlines have been shutting down. Some airlines didn't last more than 2 weeks into the lockdown. But in Nigeria, the African man's or the Nigerian man's resilience has been playing a big part. Like for me, it was scary, like I said, because of my workforce, for almost over 3,000 people, what will become of them?
How many did you have to lay off?
I didn't lay anybody off.
You didn't lay anybody off? 3,000 workers? Did you have to cut salaries?
Yes,
perhaps?
yes, we did.
Or you had to stop paying for a while?
We did. What we did was, when the lockdown came, we needed to conserve funds. So we told our staff, you know what? Those earning from $1 million and above, in March, that was in March, we told them that they forego 30% of the salaries. Those between 500 and 999, 20% of the salaries. Those below, between 200 and 500, maybe 10%. Those earning about 150,000, from 40,000 to 150,000, we didn't touch their salaries. So what we did was to...
But everybody kept their jobs?
Yeah, kept their jobs. We wanted to see where we were heading for, because we didn't know what was going to happen. So we needed to conserve as much funds as possible, because during lockdown, whether the plane flies or the plane does not fly, maintenance must go on, insurance must kick in, and all of them. So it's a whole lot of costs. And that was what we did. We made people stay at home without pay during that period. And when we wanted to now reconvene...
During the lockdown?
Yeah, during the lockdown, leave without pay. We brought in the leave without pay regime. Stay at home, no pay during the period. But by July 8th, when we now reconvened, all the airports were not allowed to start at the same time. So we were bringing in staff as the airports were opening. And of course...
that was when you introduced the reduction in pay?
Yeah, we did. We did, because nobody knew what you were going to face.
So what I'm trying
for example,
to
for pilots, let me tell you, for pilots, for instance, we decided to do 40% reduction in pay.
What I'm trying
for
to
90 days.
What I'm trying to get straight is this. During the lockdown, nobody was getting paid.
Yeah, nobody was getting paid.
Then
those who we brought in to do some, like for example, APs was going to China for the federal government and some other governments. We went to India about 17 times. Whenever you participated in any of those flights, you get paid for those flights. So it was like ad hoc. It was scary. It was like ad hoc. But by July 8th, when the federal government now announced that lifted the ban on lockdown, that airlines could start doing their businesses again, we now brought in the regime of salary cuts because it was not full blown. So we needed to cut down on salaries in order to retain the workforce. As I speak to you, every AP staff has been recalled, even though the parameters have not improved. Because we, in the first place, why did I go into aviation? I went into it to create jobs. That is why my blood pressure is not high. The only time my blood pressure gets high is maybe people are not doing what they're supposed to do. But I'm not scared about losing money. I'm not scared about anything. What I'm scared about is people losing their jobs. And so we made sure we kept and we restored them to 100% of their salaries anyway. And at the same time, we record everybody, and we're even employing more.
That's a sign of hope.
Yes, we're even employing more.
In a sector that people still say is very dark.
Yeah.
And it's not like as if there is a bright light just yet. Yes, I know that government has extended lifelines. I think we have lifelines worth close to $178 billion internationally. In Nigeria here, the federal government extended lifelines to companies, I think about $4 billion to airlines, about $4 billion now, then another $1 billion now to ancillary services. What did that do for you?
Let me tell you something. I see. A lot of people have been talking about the $4 billion given to us by the federal government. That was a grant. That was free money to be shared by the airlines. Yes, when compared to other countries, very small. It's still very small. The fact is that one of my engines of my wide-body aircraft, the 777, cost more than $4 billion. However, $4 billion was shared for all the airlines. You see, we cannot compare ourselves to America, to Britain. The economy of the country is down. No fault of ours. It's the fault of the economic downturn globally.
Yeah, but how did that help? That's what I want to know.
It helped us. It helped us. No matter how much you got, at least it will help you to pay, even if it's salary for some number of staff. But the federal government did something. That's what I'm trying to come at. A lot of people are looking at the $4 billion given to us. But the federal government did something better than that will help the airlines. They gave us loans at 5%, single digits. That will help the airlines.
Well, you complained initially that indeed, yes, $4 billion is good, but you'd also talk about how you're enjoying zero-digit figures for importation of spare parts. And
I'm coming to that.
Yes.
You see, that's why I'm saying the federal government did something better than, because if the federal government had actually approved $10 billion for every airline, and the enabling environment is not there for us to operate, within a month, your $10 billion will vanish. The present government approved, it's gone into our laws now, zero duty on imported aircraft, zero VAT on imported aircraft. They even went further to add zero VAT on air transport tickets. We never had it so good. So the government listened to us and did this. This is going to help us. For example, I paid for 13 brand new planes. They started coming in. One came in yesterday, another one's coming in next week, in 2 weeks' time, just like that. If the president did not do this and sign it into law, we would have paid through our noses.
But you talked about customs introducing a new regime which you did not understand.
Yes.
What was the regime and has that been looked into?
Yes, because before, when at the advent of this regime in 2015, the president gave an executive order making importation of aircraft, commercial aircraft, free from import duties, free from VAT, importation of aircraft spares, free from custom duties and the VAT. We've been enjoying it for the past 4 years. All of a sudden, at the turn of this year, customs introduced another regime of going around the corner to get money from us. And most of the airlines couldn't pay. Our parts were stranded at the airports, so we complained. And we discovered that, well, the best way to get around this, when I took over as the vice president of Aviation and my president, Dr. Abdul Munaf of ASMAN, we decided that the best way to do this is to go by way of legislation. So we approached our minister. God bless him. The man has caused a revolution in the industry already, positive resolution. So we met him and he led the battle with us and went to the National Assembly, presented our case. The National Assembly passed the bill. And the president of this country, because he supports indigenous investment, signed it into law without hesitation. So today, the custom duty thing will not depend on the whims and caprices of anybody. It will never depend on the whims and caprices of whoever becomes the Director General of the Customs any day. It's now part of our law. So that we are very thankful to the federal government.
With the measures that have been put in place then, how soon do you think that the aviation sector, especially in Nigeria, will be able to drag itself out of the doldrums caused by the pandemic?
One thing is certain. We have to look at some other parameters that have been very challenging to us. Forex. The next thing is Forex. I would like the government to address the issues of foreign exchange, the access to foreign exchange for airlines. It's becoming very, difficult to access foreign exchange. No fault of anybody, but the government should find a way of making it easy, because nothing on the aircraft is manufactured in Nigeria. Everything is imported. Even the carpets on your that you step on when you get into the aircraft is not made in Nigeria. You cannot even buy it in any shop in America or anywhere. These are regulated. There are particular places you must get them. So what I'm saying is that everything is about dollar. And dollar has now gone up to, sometimes we paid 500 to access it, yet we charge our ticket fares in Naira. So if these things could be addressed, Nigerian airlines will bounce back. How about the issues of insurance? The law says that you must go through a Nigerian insurance company to insure your aircraft. All the insurance companies in Nigeria put together, all of them, cannot insure one aircraft. So you must go through them, because they must go abroad to go to Lloyd's of this world and others. The Nigerian airline is now suffering. It's like going through a middleman. This one charges you, the other one charges you. What it takes me to insure an aircraft is what the legacy airlines in the first world used to insure about 4. So when people are crying, oh, Nigerian airlines, they do not do well, they can't do. No. But thankfully, our minister has rolled up his sleeves and been taken out from one place to the other. I must thank him. I must thank the Minister of Finance too. All of them. Even the central bank government is trying to do something to at least approve the 5% thing, loans for us. So everything gradually, the government is listening. For once in this country.
Well, what do you say to those who think that right now what you're doing is you're positioning yourself to be a monopoly? After the pandemic is over, how would you respond to that?
Well, I don't believe in monopoly. To be honest with you,
do you think that you're going to have competitors in the industry?
I don't see. like I said before, anything that supports job creation for it. If we are going to have 200 airlines in Nigeria, as long as they are strong and able to maintain their workforce, put food on the table for Nigerians, I support them. I don't want to. I'm not even competing with Nigerian airlines. What I'm trying to do, like the minister, if I listened to the minister yesterday, the minister was talking about the single SATIN, what we call SATIN, the single African market, transport market for the air transport market, which makes it possible for South African Airways to come to Nigeria, drop somebody in Abuja, pick passengers from here and drop in nowhere, and single African air transport market, single. So you have to brace up, you have to position yourself. The country is the cash cow for everybody. We cannot continue to allow others fleece us. So what APC is doing, we're not competing with Nigerian airlines. We want to compete with the outside world. You could see what happened during the pandemic. We are competing with the big guys out there, going all over the world, bringing Nigerians back. We went to Malaysia, we went to Thailand, we went to China. Nigerians were very proud.
Well, talking about that, you have enjoyed some fame. I mean, you're no stranger to bringing Nigerians back. You did that September 2019 when you helped bring Nigerians back from South Africa who were facing xenophobic attacks, and you endeared yourself to a lot of Nigerians as a result of that. However, you've also faced some backlash because in that same year, in November 2019, you also got the indictment from the United States, I think it was Office of the Attorney General in Georgia. How has that been, managing the impression that Nigerians have of you, especially from that, and facing, I mean, cries of Hosanna 1 minute and then cries of crucify in the next minute?
Yeah, I mean, it was a difficult period, and it could be a difficult period for everybody. In the first place, why did I go to South Africa? I felt that Nigeria is a stigmatized country, and we are still stigmatized. What happened in South Africa? They picked on Nigerians. Nigerians lost their lives. If you're Nigerian, you walk across the street where there's a crime scene, and you're Nigerian there, you're found there, you're a criminal because you're Nigerian. You don't know the number of Nigerians that are in jail abroad.
Indeed.
Just because they're Nigerians. So I went to South Africa to save the name of the country at that time. And I saw a lot of people there. Then I said, okay, I called my brother airlines. I said, let us go. Some of them wouldn't. I decided to do it. Because like I told you, it's not about money for me. Issues about the country. I've been doing that right from the university days.
And it wasn't because you saw the fraud charges coming?
No. I didn't know about it to start with. I didn't know. I was just watching television one day and I saw my name being published. I didn't know anything about it. I just saw my name on television.
It wasn't about pouring cold water ahead so that you could step on cold floor?
In 2004,
yes,
when I went around the country, engendering the 2004, the first Nigeria Forever project that took me to the 36th state of the country. I spent millions. The Federal Ministry of Information was to help to bankroll it, but they didn't. But I went on because I wanted peace in this country. Did I have anything to fear about in 2004 when I spent millions of my hard-earned money going around the 36 states of the country to help my country to bring about broad nationalism as against ethnic nationalism?
You have also...
In 2005.
You talked about your role in the amnesty.
Yes. No, not even amnesty, not amnesty. In 2005,
yes,
when the Nigerian oil production had nosedived to 500,000 barrels per day, from 3 million barrels to 500,000 barrels per day for a population of over 180 million people. Then it was disaster awaiting. The Niger Delta boys were ruling. The military lost it in Niger Delta. Even the foreign powers couldn't do anything about Niger Delta. That was when I rose up to the challenge. So I spent my hundreds of millions training and transforming military.
You're not strangers to this. So the question now is, now that we have farmer herdsmen crisis, are you going to be intervening in that as well? Just wondering. Very quickly.
I've already started trying to do something about that, because you see.
So you will be intervening. We're out of time.
I'll be intervening, and I've already started. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I remember taking the military, some members of the military leadership, Aruba boys, some iPod boys, training them in Nigeria and taking them, sponsoring them to America, bringing them back to be in unity and fight for the nation, not against each other.
Well, it's a fine place to live in. I know that this conversation has been, very tight. Hopefully we will have more time next time, but we have to thank you for coming on Hard Copy tonight.
Thank you.
Mr. Alan Onyema is the Chairman CEO of Airpeace Limited. Well, that's the show tonight. All feedback are welcome to the handles showing on your screen. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Maupe Ogun Yusuf.
And I'm Terry Kumi. Goodbye.